Good morning, English literature students. This lecture is in continuation to the earlier lecture which was held on As You Like It, a play by William Shakespeare. So students, as I have already discussed Act 1, Scene 1, today we shall be discussing Act 1, Scene 2. Act 1, Scene 2. Now see, this particular lecture is specially meant for English literature students of BA Part 1, and I am dealing with your first paper, that is Poetry and Drama. So as yesterday we read Scene 1, today I will be dealing with your Scene 2. So see the setting. A lawn is there before a duke's palace. Enter Rosalind and Celia. Now Rosalind is the main female character of this particular play. Rosalind and Celia, both are cousin sisters. Now you will find from Act 1 Scene 2 that there is a very strong bond and love which exists between two sisters. Okay, so I'll be now see Celia. Actually, in this particular dialoguing, you will find that Rosalind is very sad, and she is sad because her father is being banished by Celia's father. Okay, so I pray thee, Rosalind, sweet, my cousin, be merry, be happy, she says to her sister. So Rosalind, see the dialogue of Rosalind. Dear Celia, I show more mirth than I am mistress of, and would you yet I were merrier? Unless you could teach me to forget a banished father, you must not learn me how to remember any extraordinary pleasure. Because Celia cannot see her sister being very in a melancholic mood, so she wants her to be happy. So Rosalind says, because my father is being banished, so how can I be happy when she is separated from her father? And how can I be merry, or how can I be gay? So it is impossible for me. Okay, but you will find that how beautifully Celia manages to make her sister's mood better. So Celia says, herein I see thou lovest me not with the full weight that I love thee. So that is somewhat, because she is her sister, she says, if you are my sister, then why are you so sad? If my uncle, thy banished father, had banished thy uncle the duke my father, so thou had been still with me, I could have taught my love to take thy father for mine. So would thou, if the truth of thy love to me were so righteously tempered as mine is to thee. So she says, at present you will have to consider my father to be your father, and don't be sad, because in future, if because I am the only child of my father, if in inheritance everything comes to me, then certainly everything will be returned, whatever you deserve. So see how kind and how loving Celia is to Rosalind, and both express their feelings to each other. When Rosalind, in the same scene, you will find she is very much impressed by how Orlando he defeats Charles in a wrestling match. So she falls in love with Orlando, Rosalind. So every time if she is having any feeling for Orlando, or she is in pain, she is in pleasure, so everything is being discussed with her sister. So most of the characters you will find, they confess that between these two ladies such a beautiful bond exists between these two sisters. That is what. So Rosalind, I will forget the condition of my estate to rejoice in yours. Celia, you know my father hath no child but I, not none is like to have, and truly, nor none is like to have, and truly when he dies, thou shall be his heir. So she says that when he dies, so it is not me, you will be his heir. That means you will inherit everything, oh my sister. Why are you so sad? That is what. For what he hath taken away from thy father perforce. Yes, she knows everything has happened because of the power which has applied on the elder one. I will render thee again in affection. By mine honor I will. And when I break that oath, let me turn monster. Therefore my sweet Rose, means Rosalind, my dear Rose, be merry. So she promises that everything you will inherit after my father's death. So see the bond, very beautiful bond which exists between the two sisters. Okay, so it can be in contrast to father, how he ill-treats, okay, how he ill-treats Celia's cousin sister. So come to page number 9. See line number 36. Rosalind, nay, now thou goest from fortune's office to nature. They both are now, after Rosalind's mood is now better, so they both start discussing on fortune, on destiny. Okay, so now enter Touchstone. Touchstone is a fool in this play, and fool, in the plays of Shakespeare is very witty character, and he's the one who can always, make a serious, who can turn, when there is seriousness, okay, so he can turn the table, so that is what. So, come to page number 11, okay. Now, enter Leoboy, who is the courtier of Frederick. So, he has entered and he is informing the two ladies that there is going to be a wrestling match between Orlando and Charles, and Orlando is in disguise because nobody knows that the real identity of Orlando. So here you will also find that Duke Frederick, he wants these two girls that they must try to dissuade Orlando, because he doesn't know that he's Orlando, that they must try to dissuade this fellow who is very young and who has accepted the challenge of Charles, in a wrestling match. So he feels that his life is in danger, but you will find that both the ladies, they pursue him. They say, don't fight with him, you are very much younger to him, and you look very, in a way, you look quite young and quite weak in front of him, so don't accept the challenge. But then he says no, and consequently what happens, he wins. And when he comes to know, Duke comes to know that he is the son of Sir Roland, because they both were enemies, so he doesn't like that he has won the match. Okay, so there the scene ends. But just to read out the few important dialogues here. Enter Leoboy, who is the courtier of Frederick. So he informs these two ladies. He says, fair princes, you have lost much good sport. So Celia says, sport of what color? So he says, what color, ma'am? How shall I answer you? So Rosalind says, as wit and fortune will, Touchstone, or as the destiny's decree. Celia, well said, that was laid on with a trowel. Libyo, you amaze me, ladies. I would have told you of good wrestling, which you have lost the sight of, because match has already begun. Okay. So Rosalind says, yet tell us the manner of the wrestling. So Libyo informs, I will tell you the beginning, and if it please your ladyships, you may see the end, for the best is yet to do, and here where you are, they are coming to perform it. Yes, so they are already coming here. Libyo informs that in front of you, you could envision the match. Okay, now see page number 12. Enter Duke Frederick, Lords Orlando, Charles and attendants. Now this is line number near around 133. So what Duke wants, he wants the girls to dissuade Orlando to fight against Charles. Okay, so Duke Frederick says, come on, since the youth will not be entreated, his own peril on his forwardness. So he finds the youth to be in danger, to be in peril. Okay, Rosalind says, is yonder the man? Is there the man? Livio says, even he, madam. Celia, alas, even Celia feels he is too young, yet he looks successfully. He looks very confident. Duke Frederick, how now, daughter and cousin, are you crept here to see the wrestling? So have you also come to see the wrestling? So then Duke Frederick, he says, you will take delight in it. I can tell you, there is such odds in the man. In pity of the challenger's youth, I would fain dissuade him, but he will not be entreated. Speak to him, ladies, see if you can move him. Yes, because everyone else has tried that don't go and fight against Charles. But because nobody knows the true identity of Orlando, so Orlando doesn't agree with anybody, because nobody can please him that don't go and fight against this man. So he wants his daughter and Rosalind to dissuade him. Now come to page number 13. Celia, young gentleman, your spirits are too bold for your ears. That means, it means you are much more confident than your ears. You have seen cruel proof of this man's strength. That means Charles is, very powerful. So he is much more formidable than you. That is what they are trying to say. So if you saw yourself with your eyes or knew yourself with your judgment, the fear of your adventure would counsel you to a more equal enterprise. So he doesn't equal you, he's more in strength than you. So they are trying to dissuade him, but he doesn't agree. Okay, so we pray you for your own sake, Celia, she says, to embrace your own safety and give over this attempt. So don't attempt to fight with Charles, because it will not be safer for you. So they warn him. Okay, but see, Orlando, he has decided to fight. So he says, Orlando says, I also beseech you, punish me not with your hard thoughts, wherein I confess me much guilty, to deny so fair and excellent ladies anything. But let your fair eyes and gentle wishes go with me to my trial, wherein if I be foiled, there is but one shamed that was never gracious, if killed, but one that dead that is willing to be so. I shall do my friends no wrong, for I have none to lament me. The world no injury, for in it I have nothing. Only in the world I fill up a place which may be better supplied when I have made it empty. Okay, so they cannot dissuade him, and he finds that, and already you have seen in scene 1, he is highly dissatisfied the way Orlando's brother Oliver treats him, etc., etc. Now come to page number 14. Now you find that there a match ensues between Charles and Orlando, and Charles cannot stand against Orlando, and he loses the wrestling match. So that is quite an amazement. Rosalind, oh excellent young man. Celia, if I had a thunderbolt in my eye, I can tell you who should down. Charles is thrown down. Okay. Duke Frederick, no more. So because Charles is the wrestler of Duke Frederick, he has already lost. Now Livio, he cannot speak, my lord, because he has been beaten. Now Duke Frederick, bear him away. Charles is borne out. What is thy name, young man? Because he is much impressed the way Orlando, the young man, had fought against Charles. So Duke Frederick, I would thou had been son. So he says, Orlando says, my liege, the youngest son of Sir Roland de Boys. Now when Duke Frederick comes to know he is the son of Sir Roland de Boys, so he is not happy, because Sir Roland was his enemy. Okay, so he says, thou should have better pleased me with this deed had thou descended from another house. You could have been the son of somebody else, then I would have praised you. Because then he even confesses that your father was my enemy. He says, but fare thee well, thou art a gallant youth, you are a great youth, very strong. I would thou had told me of another father. Okay, now exit Duke Frederick, Train and Libio. Now there is Celia and Rosalind. Now in the same few lines you will see that Rosalind expresses her, in a way, she is mute, but because when she gives her chain, she takes it out from her neck and presents it to Orlando, you find that there is some feeling which exists between these two, but they both, due to constraints, they both cannot confess that they are in love with each other. So you find Rosalind's love, her expression for Orlando. Okay, now Rosalind, my father loved Sir Roland. Now she says, my father, she is telling Orlando that my father and your father were great friends. So I also have a great liking for you and your bravery. That is what. So she says, my father loved Sir Roland as his soul. Means they were very close, intimate. And all the world was of my father's mind. Had I before known this young man his son, I should have given him tears unto entreaties before he should thus have ventured. Okay, so she says, I could have been more compassionate and I could have given all my wishes to Orlando if I would have known that he was he was the son of my father's friend. Okay, so now Rosalind, she says, gentleman, then in parenthesis there is giving him a chain from her neck. She says, wear this for me, one out of suits with fortune that could give more, but that her hand lacked means. Shall we go? Celia, fare you well, fair gentleman. Orlando, can I not say I thank you? My better parts are all thrown down, and that which here stands up is but a quintail, a mere lifeless blob. So they both exit Rosalind and Celia. Orlando, what passion hangs these waits upon my tongue. I cannot speak to her, yet she urged conference. Yes, so here we come to know Orlando's feeling, because she is not overthrown. Sorry, he is not overthrown by the wrestler Charles, but he is overthrown. He is overthrown by Rosalind, because now he has fallen in love with Rosalind. So re-enter Libio. Now here this is very important, because Libio warns him that Duke Frederick, he doesn't much appreciate, actually you have won the wrestling match and you deserve all praise, but he won't praise you because your father was his enemy, and already he is not in a good mood because he has banished the senior duke, and again he is going to banish even Rosalind, from the court, because from the palace, because people have started talking about the virtues of Rosalind than Celia, and they all have mercy, and they all have what you say kind feelings for Rosalind, because her father is being banished. So he decides that even Rosalind must be banished from the court. So this is what. So I will just read out. Good sir, I do in friendship counsel you, I advise you, he says to Orlando, to leave this place, because in this place you are in danger. Already your brother, he dislikes you, and now even Duke, he dislikes you. Okay, you have deserved high commendation, true applause and love, yet such is now the Duke's condition that he misconstrues all that you have done. The Duke is humorous. What he is indeed more suits you to conceive than I to speak of. So Orlando, I thank you, sir. So he is thanking Libio because he has warned him and counseled him. Tell me this, which of the two was daughter of the Duke that here were at the wrestling? Because he wants to know that who was the daughter of the Duke, because he has fallen in love with Rosalind and both sisters were together, so he would like to know. So Libio informs him and he says, neither his daughter, if we judge by manners, because both in manners are very, what you say, best, and they are much more certainly better than Duke Frederick. So if you judge by manners, they are much higher, they are much sublime. But yet indeed the smaller is his daughter, the other is daughter to the banished Duke, and here detained by her usurping uncle, that is Frederick, Duke Frederick, to keep his daughter's company, whose loves are dearer than the natural bond of sisters. Earlier you have seen, even Charles confesses that both ladies share a very close bond, and even Libio, he also confesses that they share a very natural bond of sisters. Okay, so, and such a dearer bond. So, but I can tell you that of late this Duke has taken displeasure against his gentle niece, that is Rosalind, grounded upon no other argument, but the people praise her for her virtues, for her good qualities, and pity her for her good father's sake, that he is being banished. And on my life, his malice against the lady will suddenly break forth. That means he is already in mood of anger. Sir, fare you well. Hereafter, in a better world than this, I shall desire more love and knowledge of you. So he is warning him that you can leave this place. So Orlando, he says, I rest much bounden to you, fare you well. So I thank you, and exit the Libio and the courtier. So Orlando says, thus must I from the smoke into the smother, from tyrant Duke unto a tyrant brother, because both dislike him. So he has to escape from this place. But heavenly Rosalind, mark of interjection, and here Act 1 Scene 2 ends and he exits. So you come to know, he says, but heavenly Rosalind. So he is also, bewitched by the beauty and by the qualities, virtues of Rosalind. So he is much in love with her, but both could not express. But by Act 1 Scene 2, we certainly come to know the love between Orlando and Rosalind. Thank you, students. Tomorrow we shall continue with Act 1 Scene 3. Thank you so much for your patience.